Sorry, Nokpio. I think
Um,
I see two there. I see Paul Don Celeste and I'm not sure Setino Menga. I think is also from the same, if I'm not mistaken.
all right, thank you, Tinashe. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. The reason we did this is because we wanted to create breakout rooms. Part of our program, of our agenda today, will require us to go to breakout rooms, and we wanted to see how we can best organize those breakout rooms. But before we start, I will also like to share my screen on the operations that you will be using today. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yes, now we can see it.
You can see it.
Yes.
Okay, last time when we were conducting the previous two sessions, we discovered that we had a challenge for when people were choosing their breakout rooms. So today we felt like we should iron this issue out before we go to the breakout rooms. So especially for the French speaking group, there's an icon at the bottom of your computer, which has got interpretation. So if you choose original, you are going to hear what the speaker is saying. That is the original version. But if you want to stick to your language, you can either choose English or you can choose French. So you will be hearing interpreted on that language. So there are some participants where you find that maybe there is someone who is now speaking French and they are speaking English and they don't know how to interpret. There is a button at the end. It is written interpretation. So you click and you choose the language you are comfortable in using on. And then the next one is oh. I think my laptop is frozen. The next one is the breakout rooms. We also observed that there was a challenge in selecting the breakout rooms. There are two options of selecting the breakout rooms. The first one, you can select by yourself the breakout rooms. There is also an icon at the bottom of your screen that has got 4 squares. So when you click that icon, it will show you the breakout rooms and you are going to select the breakout rooms that you want to join to. And if you don't know how to join the breakout room, we have got the admin people who are going to assist you in joining the breakout room. But we will require you to rename your name. Like for me, I am Nokpiwa, so I will write Nokpiwa Sakao so that they can know that I am from Sakao. And then you will find something that will be saying you have been assigned to a breakout room, and then you click join breakout room. And if you want to leave the breakout room, there is also that icon. You will click that icon and you click leave to join another breakout room. Is that okay?
It sounds
Hello.
okay, Nokpio, at least for me.
Okay, Nikupiwa.
Thank you, Tina. So the last time we had a lot of confusion when people were choosing the breakout rooms. We find that a lot of people were still remaining in the main room. So we felt like maybe we should share this slide, and also we should share the slide for interpretation so that you can be able to follow everything that is happening in this webinar. So thank you very much. And coming back to the session for today, we will be discussing about the roadmap. Like we have discussed about the climate risk, and we have also discussed about we've also discussed about access to finance. I think we have highlighted in all the sessions that climate change is affecting a lot of smallholder farmers in Africa, and it is the duty of us as farmers organizations to make sure that our farmers are resilient to climate change. So the first session was just looking at the overall on what is happening on African farmers, what are the challenges that they are having. And the second option was looking at the possible climate financing solutions. So today, We have Tinashe that will be addressing. We have a tool that we have developed in Sakao. We call it a roadmap for climate resilience, where we have identified different interventions that we feel will be relevant enough for us to deal with climate resilience in Africa. So the idea is, how do we position ourselves as farmers organizations working with farmers in Africa? And where do we see our entry points as farmers organization? In other countries, we have got tools that have already been developed, like the NTCs. The other countries already have the roadmap. I've seen when I was doing searching on the internet, other countries also have the roadmap. But as a farmer organizations, where do you see yourself fitting in? And what are the low-hanging fruits that you see? And do you feel that the roadmap is including you and is also including the farmers that you are representing? What are the entry points for lobby? What are the entry points for advocacy? So we have done the roadmap in the SADC region or at Sakao level, and we felt like we should share this roadmap so that you can see what we have done and also see if there's something that you can also do, and it can be adopted to the other regions. So without the waste of time, I would like to introduce Tinashe, who will be sharing us the roadmap and explaining what we have already done at Sakao level. And then we're going to go to the breakout rooms to see if this tool will be useful enough maybe to be used by your RFOs and also at PAFO level. So thank you so much, Tinashe. Can I hand over to you for this session?
Thanks so much, Nokupiwa. Good morning or good afternoon to everyone.
Kim, Karim, please meet yourself. Karim. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So yes, Nokupiwa has already introduced what we are going to do today, but that just to add that we are currently implementing a project funded by the Germany government through the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And what we have done as part of implementing that project is that we have formed a community of practice, what we call a community of practice. This is a grouping of technical people working for national farmer organizations across the SADC region. So what we have been doing is to conduct what we call study tours, to go to places where some innovations are being implemented there, for the community of practice group to learn from there. And then the idea being that when they go back to their respective countries, they will share the same with the farmers on the ground. So just to say also that resilience building is not an event, but a process that you need to go through to make sure that you actually support the farmers at plot or farm level, because I think that that's where the resilience building is supposed to happen. So all the other things that we may do are supposed to be supporting what needs to happen at farm or plot level. And then, so as part of that project, we decided that we have to have a plan. I mean, for us to be able to achieve the objectives of the project, we have to have a plan to get to that. So we are proposing to you, we have already put together what we call a roadmap, which is maybe like a program of action that we are going to implement to get to that position where we may feel comfortable now that we have done something in terms of resilience building in Southern Africa. So the idea of this session today is to share with you, like Nokupiwa has already alluded to, that we want you to look at it, critique this roadmap, and be honest with us and tell us whether you think that this roadmap is something that is doable or applicable. And we also want you to tell us if you feel that is something that you can do in your regions. If you have already done something better, it's also good for you to let us know that maybe this might not work, but if you try to use this, that's the reason why we are actually sharing information, so that we don't reinvent the wheel where it's not necessary to do so, but we also want to learn from each other. Whatever additions or subtractions that you are going to help us with today is going to make this roadmap much stronger, and hope that it will achieve the intended objectives. So without further ado, I will ask Zuberi to share the template. It's in Word. We didn't prepare PowerPoint presentation, just in Word, so that we discuss it from there. Zuberi, if you can help me with sharing your screen. Zuberi, can you hear me?
Can I share to Nasha?
Please do,
Yeah.
please do. I'm trying and I'm having issues as well with my network. Please do, Abraham, if it's possible.
Yeah, Obed, you can assist with that. Thank you. So thank you, Obedi. I just wanted to check from colleagues if you can see Obedi's screen. I can see it from my end. I'm just checking so that before I start discussing it, we are sure that we are all.
It's clear, but can you a little bit more, please?
I see Setino Menga is raising his hand. Maybe you can say whatever you want to say before we start.
Oui, bonjour. Vous m'écoutez? Bonjour.
Oui, bonjour, nous vous entendons bien.
Ok, je m'excuse d'abord. Je vais me présenter d'abord. Je suis Saturnino Manga de la Guinée équatoriale. Malheureusement, je suis dans une autre atelier dans le siège de la Nations Unies à Nairobi, mais je représente la Guinée équatoriale dans l'organisation FENOC. Donc, je viens de m'incorporer à la réunion et je suis en train de suivre la présentation. Donc, comme je le dis, mes excuses pour arriver en retard. J'ai sorti dans une réunion qui est en direct pour participer à cette réunion en ligne. Donc, j'attends que je pourrai participer avec tous les autres collègues. On peut partager tous les documents qui seront débattus pendant cette réunion. Je vous remercie.
Thanks so much, Setino, for that. And you are welcome to the meeting. So, colleagues, I'm just going to quickly run through this template as you can see it. I already spoke about the project that we are implementing. You can see the title of the project there on top. And I've already also spoken about the community of practice that we formed to drive this agenda of building resilience in Southern Africa, climate resilience, of farming systems, because resilience can mean a lot of other things, and it's not only the agricultural sector that needs to be resilient to climate change. So just to make that clear, that our intention with this roadmap is focusing on farming systems, because we are working with farmers. So as you can see, we have 3 columns there. The first column is talking to the proposed action. What is the intended action that we need to take And then the second column is pinning on the entities or the organizations or that are going to be responsible for making sure that that proposed action happens. And then the last and third column is talking to the approach or the strategy that we are going to take to achieve the intended objectives of the proposed action. So to begin with, we thought that we needed to find some kind of a glossary of the innovations that are already happening at ground level, because we know that farmers are already responding to climate change challenges in their respective countries. And when they respond to these climate change related challenges, they look at their environment, they look at what has been happening to their farming systems over time, the impact of climate change that they have been experiencing, and then they respond to that by mainly in Africa, we've seen that adaptation is more of an action that farmers are taking as compared to mitigation. But some of the adaptive sort of method they are implementing can also have mitigation benefits. So what we want to do, the first action that we thought we needed to do, is to take stock of the technologies, the innovations at country level, on what the farmers are already implementing. The reason for this is that it's always better to support farmers on what they are already doing than introducing something that you bring from another area and you try to impose it on them. You would know from the so-called bottom-up approach. So the bottom-up approach speaks to trying to take things at ground level to say what is happening on the ground. And there are reasons why farmers do what they are doing. And it's always better to try and support them on what they are already doing. So we are going to work with consultants in different countries to do some kind of a quick analysis, collecting data, collecting all the innovations that are happening at country level, and putting it together. And farmers are also working with other stakeholders who are supporting them to implement these innovations or strategies. So we also need to have a stakeholder analysis to say who is supporting farmers. For example, if they are adopting conservation agriculture, we want to know the stakeholders that are supporting them in the implementation of conservation agriculture, just as an example. So we said on this particular piece of work, the responsibility will be the national farmer organizations because they are working with the farmers. But of course, like I already said, we have for each national farmer organization, we've got a community of practice member. So we want them to take lead in this work because they understand where we are coming from and where we are going. So we would want them to take sort of charge of this piece of work and supporting the consultant who will be collecting all this information on the ground, but also talking to the stakeholders, like I already said. Now, what will be the approach to achieving this? We have already developed a template. This template was necessary because we wanted to maintain uniformity on how this work is going to be done in all the respective countries. We could also share this template for you to see maybe later after the meeting. So whatever the NFOs will be doing in the countries, SACA will be always available to support them so that we make sure that the work that we want to do is done in the way that we planned it to happen. So that will be the first action that we need to take. Then after the consultants have put together a report of what they found out, we then move on to holding a workshop in each country. This workshop is some kind of a validation workshop where a consultant will present the results of their findings to say, this is what we are finding, for example, in Zimbabwe. People are using solar powered irrigation infrastructure. They are also using biodigesters. They are also doing things like adopting conservation agriculture. We want to test this in a stakeholder consultation workshop where the consultant will make a presentation to say, this is what we found out in Zimbabwe. I'm just giving an example here. The NFOs are supposed to be responsible for organizing this workshop that will bring in all the relevant stakeholders that are working in climate resilience building in the respective countries. Then the approach, I already alluded to the fact that the NFOs will organize national meetings to inform stakeholders on available technologies and practices. And also maybe to just look at the challenges that are being faced by the farmers in adopting these technologies. The idea will be to say, if these are some of the practices that are already happening, how do we scale them up? How do we spread them out to other regions that are not necessarily doing the same? But I have to say here that, I mean, context matters. You will know that it could be a good innovation in a specific agroecology zone. You don't have to take it to where it's not applicable. We have to be mindful of the context of the region. To say in this region is a dry region, you cannot do something that needs a lot of rain, for example. So you will be mindful of that as you scale up. So that will be the second sort of proposed action. Then moving on to the third one. So the idea now is that once you get all this information, what do you do with it? You now need to form what we call a national action plan. This national action plan is now saying, this is what we found out with the research that we did. How do we now put together a plan that is now supposed to give direction to be it government and other relevant stakeholders to actually now implement or accelerate the adoption of these innovations or climate smart agriculture practices that we will have found out in the respective countries. So this again will be the responsibility of national farmer organizations. Why? Because I think they are the anchoring sort of stakeholder in all this work. They are working with farmers, but they are also working with the development agencies and national governments to make sure that the resilience of farming systems is actually implemented. So in terms of the approach again for the third action, the outcomes of the stakeholder consultation and verification meetings will consider the various roles of different stakeholders, because we want to make sure that once we give a stakeholder a responsibility, we will be making some monitoring and evaluation to say, for this particular stakeholder, we were given a responsibility to do this as put in the national action plan. So we need to have some monitoring and evaluation sort of mechanism to make sure that we pin all the stakeholders to what we will have allocated to them to do. So the idea basically is to be to make sure that we increase adoption of the already existing technologies. Now, we thought that for the fourth action, once we get these practices and that will be at country level, that the first bit of work is happening at country level. That's why you find that national farmer organizations are taking charge of this piece of work. We now want to cascade it a little bit higher to the regional level, where we now say, okay, this is what we are getting from the countries. Now, if we consolidate these at SADC level now or at SACAO level, what are we going to be having as top priority sort of innovations that we can promote at regional level, to say what came out from the study was that in general, just giving again as an example, conservation agriculture is something that is being adopted in so many countries. How do we now prioritize as looking at the innovation that we have found out in the countries, how do we prioritize the technologies at regional level so that when we are looking for funding, for example, we say we have done a study in Southern Africa and we found that conservation agriculture is something that farmers are actually adopting and using. How do we then support other farmers to also follow the same? So this one will be the responsibility of SACAO, because now we are talking regional level. We are no longer talking about this something that is happening at country level. So we need to rank these technologies based on their prevalence or based on how common we find them in the study, to say we found that maybe most farmers are using biodigesters, again, just as an example. How do we then look at them given how common they are at regional level? So we will now rank them to say, if we are going to build climate resilience in Southern Africa, I think these are maybe number one will be conservation agriculture, number two, just giving examples here. So we will now have to form some kind of clusters. These clusters now will be looking at a different sort of farming arrangements. If you are doing crop, you're doing livestock, you're doing forestry, or doing horticulture, we'll be looking at the technologies based on those particular sort of subsectors. To say, okay, for crop production, the innovation that we are seeing coming tops is maybe conservation agriculture. If you look livestock, maybe we are seeing that farmers are using biodigesters, just as an example. Then we will also, we are proposing here that at country level, we need what we call climate resilient building, climate resilience building champions. These are sort of people, focal people who will be taking charge and saying, in Zimbabwe, I'm responsible for a crop subsector climate resilience team. So we will be working with others, but we need somebody who will be sort of leading this process, so that, like again, we said, we need to make sure that we have sort of people or entities that are responsible for specific activities. This again helps when you try to monitor and evaluate. Then the community of practice members will discuss the lists and prioritization in a virtual meeting that we plan to have, to just say, this is what we are getting for these subsectors, and these are the list of sort of innovation that we are seeing. And how then do we prioritize to say, maybe for crop farming, what we need to be promoting is A, B, C, D, something like that. Then the next proposed action will be, because all this we are discussing will require resources, be it human resources, but also mainly financial resources. For them to be realized, we will need resources to make sure that we carry out the activities as planned. So, but in most cases, if you approach donors or development agents and say, we want to do A, B, C, D, they always ask you for maybe a business plan or an action plan that you want to, they want to see it, and they want to go through it and evaluate it and see if it's going to be worth funding, for example. So once we get this tool, the prioritization across the subsectors, we can now use this to try and look for resources that are going to assist us now to make sure that whatever we plan to implement, we have the resources to do that. Now, the responsibility for this will still be national farmer organizations, because they are working at national level, and they are also working with the communities. They know the needs of the farmers who are their members. So we will need them to lead there, but SACAO will be in the background, leading in terms of approaching the development agencies and other entities that can actually support to support the implementation of the strategies. Now, for us to be able to do that, we need to map out potential funding agencies, of course, at country level, and then we move on at regional levels. That will be SACAO now looking at opportunities at regional level. And then we also need to go through, if there are call for proposals, we need to go through this and check the funding requirements, the modalities on how to access these funding opportunities. And we see that most of the development agencies are actually advocating for consortiums where organizations come together, put a proposal jointly. They prefer that because they know that the impact of working with consortium is far much greater than working with individual organizations. So that is what we will now be seeking to do. If there's need for us to respond to a call for proposal, we put a proposal together, maybe as a consortium, SACAO leading, depending on which target, which development agents will be targeting. So SACAO will always be available to support the national farmer organizations in this process. The last bit of proposed actions that we want to do, I said earlier on that the community of practice that we put together is mainly for two things. I mean, getting to do study tours, visiting innovation centers where climate resilient building practices are already implemented, and learn from there. And then when they get back to their respective country, they are supposed to share with the members who are the farmers on the ground. But then we realize that sometimes it doesn't make sense that you take a group of, the whole community of practice to go and visit a crop production innovation center, for example. Meanwhile, where they are coming from, they are more focused on livestock production, for example. So what we need to do, once we get information on what is happening where, we will now do what we call focused study tours. So, for example, a community of practice member coming from Namibia, Namibia is mainly, to a large extent, a livestock producing country. So there won't be any need to take a community of practice member to an innovation center that is focusing on crop production, for example. So they will gain more by going to an innovation center that is focusing on livestock production. So what we are trying to do here is to say, we know that in Malawi there is crop production and what types of crops they are producing. We need to take a community of practice members from Malawi to an innovation hub that is focusing on crop production. I'm just giving examples here so that at least they benefit more than traveling to a center where they are doing or focusing on livestock innovation practices, instead of them going to a place where they can harvest more and go back to their respective countries and share with the respective farmers. So based on the categories or clusters, the identified national champions, members of the COP will select the country technology they would want to visit. This will be organized depending on the available budgets. So I've already said that it's better for these clusters. If you are in the crop cluster, you visit the crop innovation center. If you are a livestock cluster, you can go to a livestock innovation center to learn more, and then you go and transfer. And of course, we needed to mention the budgets there to say money talks. If you don't have the money, then some of these activities cannot happen. Hence, we need to be focusing more on resource mobilizations, like I already alluded to in the previous proposed action. So that is what we have put together. We tried not to put a lot of detail in this because it's something that it's just framing, but of course you'll see that for each proposed action, there will be a detailed sort of activities, summary of activities that needs to be done. But we thought that for the sake of maybe sharing in this meeting, this is what we could actually present to you and say, this is what we are proposing. And it's incumbent upon you, like I said at the beginning, that you look at it, you critique it, you advise us accordingly. Thank you. Over to you, Nokupio.
Thank you so much, Tinashe. Yeah, this is what Tinashe presented. So this is the plan that we have at Sakau level. But before we go to the breakout rooms to critique the tool, maybe I would like to find out from the other regions if you have something similar to this, because this is also a platform where we share experiences and learning. So we'll also want to know from the other regions if you have sort of a roadmap like this so that we know how to handle the breakout rooms. Maybe Imelda, you can jump in to say something about your region.
Okay. I have my colleague. Hi, Nukufia. Hi, everyone. I have my colleague Karim Sawadogo, who is in charge of the climate change issues. We have a kind of it's not a tool like this one, but it's a kind of declaration where we talk about 7 pillars in terms of building. It's not specific to climate resilience, but it's on climate change things. And I would like my colleague to share it a little bit. I think they just cut the power here, so we have internet problem. I'm connected to my phone, that's why I can also speak. So maybe move to somebody else and he will come back on that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
From the other regions, maybe I should refrain from pointing someone from the other regions. Do you have something, not necessarily a roadmap or whatever you have that you have been doing to ensure resilience to your members? Lamin.
I mean, it's still Ropa, so.
But before we go to the breakout rooms, I wanted to find out what have we done. I don't believe like we will be starting from scratch. So I believe that there are things that we have done as regions to ensure resilience to our members, because we have seen the impact of climate change. We have seen that the food systems have been affected. We have also seen that the income of the farmers have also been affected. So we believe that there is something that you have done as RFOs, and we also want to learn before we also give you our tool to also critique. We wanted to just maybe to capture some few things on what you have done with your regions. Maybe if it is not your region, maybe from your country, so that you can also understand what is happening.
Can I say something?
Yes, Imelda.
Okay, so my colleague is having some difficulty to join, but I will just share some of our experiences, okay? But
Yeah.
let me speak in French for that.
It's okay.
Alors, en matière de résilience, sorry, I'm hearing the interpretation, so it's disturbing me. Let me just cut it off. Okay, fine. Okay. So, en matière de résilience, nous avons, surtout dans la zone du Sahel, de l'autre côté, eu beaucoup de soucis avec les organisations, enfin, avec les professionnels agricoles, non seulement à cause du climat changeant. Il y a eu les questions liées à la guerre aussi. Enfin, j'aime pas trop utiliser ce thème, mais on va dire les conflits qu'il y a dans le Sahel et tout ce qui suit cela avec l'instabilité politique, etc. Donc, la vulnérabilité des populations a vraiment beaucoup augmenté. Et nous, au niveau du repas, nous avons développé un programme spécifique qu'on appelle le PAFAO, spécifiquement pour les femmes et pour les jeunes. Et c'est un programme d'amélioration de la résilience de ces personnes-là. Et dans le cadre de ce programme, nous avons touché à peu près 3000 personnes. Nous avons mis en place un certain nombre d'éléments. Déjà, effectivement, lié à votre plan d'action, nous avons fait beaucoup de capitalisation des initiatives liées à la résilience climatique, notamment sur les questions d'agroécologie. Et nous avons partagé les expériences entre nos différents membres. Mais nous avons aussi développé des activités de filets sociaux. Nous avons essayé de soutenir les ménages qui ont été déplacés de leur environnement avec des kits de semences ou bien des kits animaux pour leur permettre de relancer leur activité économique, en fait, parce qu'ils avaient été décapitalisés de tous leurs facteurs de production. Nous avons soutenu des coopératives maraîchères de femmes. Nous leur avons installé nous leur avons demandé de négocier des terres, elles ont négocié des terres. Nous avons aménagé ces terres-là avec des dispositifs solaires qui utilisent l'énergie naturelle, en particulier l'énergie solaire. Elles ont pu cultiver là-dessus et nous avons renforcé leur capacité à cultiver de façon agroécologique les produits maraîchers. Et donc, elles ont fait cela dans les 3 pays spécifiquement, Burkina, Mali, Niger. Et ça a été une très bonne expérience que nous avons récemment terminée et que nous sommes en train de chercher des partenariats pour mettre à échelle. Donc, voilà un peu quelques éléments de renforcement de la résilience que nous mettons en pratique de façon concrète. Nous avons aussi beaucoup agi sur les dispositifs de formation parce que dans la région, nous avons les différents pays ont des centres de formation des femmes et des jeunes en agroécologie. Donc, nous avons essayé de renforcer ces dispositifs-là, avoir des modules de formation et avoir aussi du matériel pour pouvoir former davantage de personnes. Maintenant, pour revenir aux 7 piliers que nous avions, comment je vais dire, développés pour la résilience, pour nous, il y a un certain nombre de facteurs qui sont imbriqués et qu'on ne peut pas négliger. Notamment, le premier pilier concernait vraiment, on a appelé ça les 7 piliers du manifeste de l'agroécologie paysanne. Donc, le premier pilier concerne la garantie de la sécurisation de la terre, de l'eau et des ressources naturelles aux communautés. Il n'y aura pas de résilience véritable si ces éléments de base nécessaires à toute activité économique sont toujours, si les communautés sont toujours dépossédées de ces éléments de base-là. La seconde chose, c'est vraiment travailler sur la valorisation et la sauvegarde de la biodiversité et des semences locales et paysannes. Le troisième point, c'est, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, encourager les pratiques agroécologiques, la diversité, la complémentarité. Le quatrième point, c'est vraiment promouvoir les systèmes locaux diversifiés, nutritionnels et thérapeutiques. Je vais aller plus rapidement pour laisser le temps aux autres organisations. Donc, les 3 derniers points, c'est vraiment la valorisation de la place des femmes et des jeunes, puisqu'ils sont vraiment les vrais moteurs de la résilience. Le renforcement des synergies, des alliances et de l'organisation collective, parce que la résilience ne peut se bâtir que lorsqu'on travaille ensemble. Comme on le dit, une seule hirondelle ne fait pas le printemps. Et pour finir, c'est vraiment la nécessité d'agir sur les questions institutionnelles, législatives et réglementaires. Parce que sans ça, bon, tout continue d'aller dans tous les sens et on se retrouve à faire une chose et son contraire. Donc, voilà un peu les quelques expériences du côté du repas sur la question de la résilience et les questions climatiques que je voulais partager. Thank you, Nico Fever.
Yeah, thank you so much, Imelda. Actually, there's a lot that we have gained from ROPA, and there's a lot that you are also doing. But I think the other groups that are not yet ready to present, I don't want to believe that there is nothing that they have done for their members. It's just that maybe they were not prepared that they were supposed to share anything with us. Due to the interest of time, we are going to go to our breakout rooms, and I would like Tinashe to assist me on how we're going to arrange the breakout rooms, because we actually wanted to have 4 breakout rooms. We wanted to capture the experiences from each region, and we wanted each region to also critique our tool. But now, because we are, I think Tinashe, we are 26, is it still possible to just go to the 4 breakout rooms, or we just do the French and English? I'm sorry to deviate from the plan, but I'm just looking at the participation here.
Thanks, Nokupio. I think let's start by creating the 4 breakout rooms as initially planned. And if it doesn't work, we can always maybe reallocate other people. The
Okay.
idea was to get a sense of what is happening in each region. So let's stick to that. If it doesn't work, then we can always find a way of reallocating participants to the groups that won't have any representative. Thanks. Over.
Thank you so much. So we are going to have 4 breakout rooms, and Sakao will not have a breakout room. And Zuberi is going to share on the chat box the template. One is in English version, and the other one is in the French version. So you will have to download the template to read it, and then you can be able to work on it. Now I would also like to hand over again to Tinashe to explain the task or what we'll be doing in our different breakout groups. Thank you so much. Over to you, Tinashe.
Yes, thanks so much, Nokupio. Yeah, I've already touched on some of the aspects that we want you to do in the breakout rooms. But I would want to understand that the questions are also at the bottom of the template that Zuberi is going to share with you. And it was also translated into French. So I'm assuming that even the questions were also translated into French as well. So I don't think I'll need to repeat again the questions in the interest of time. The template, as you get it, it will have the questions that you need to answer at the bottom of the template. Or if I'm not mistaken, it could be on the agenda. Zuberi can assist me on this one. I think it was on the...
It's on the agenda, Tinashe.
It's on the agenda, sorry, yeah.
Or maybe should I read the
Okay,
questions?
maybe I can just quickly repeat them here. So the first question that you are going to address as you go into breakout rooms is that we are saying you have to read the proposed roadmap, and you just have to tell us if you think this is the right method to achieve the intended results. We already discussed that what the intended results is to build a resilience of farming systems. So it's a yes or no type of question. But once you say, yes, the roadmap is going to achieve the intended results, you also have to support that with an explanation as to why you think that it's going to work out. If you feel that it's not going to work out, you also need to let us know why you think it's not going to work out. That would be the first question. The second question, we are saying, we proposed 3 columns there with the 3 sort of activities. The first one is the proposed action. And then in the middle column, we are saying who is responsible for that. And then on the extreme right, we are saying we are proposing an approach or a strategy to achieve or to make sure that the action that we propose is taken. So the question is, when you go across the columns, do you think the 3 columns are enough? If not, suggest additions and name the proposed title of the column. So if you feel that these 3 columns are not enough, there's something that we missed out, you need to let us know and you give us the title of that column. Number 3, you do exactly what you do on number 2. Now we are going down the rows. Do you agree with the information provided in each row across the 3 columns? So this is, you are now looking at the whole document and saying, is the information put for the proposed action, for the responsibilities, for the approach and strategy, is it something that you resonate with, or if there's something that you think you need to subtract or add it's up to you again to do that. But we are also emphasizing there that you need to be clear on what you propose. We don't have to guess that maybe you were trying to say this or that. You just make sure that it's clear so that when we take the notes, we are very clear on what you are proposing or suggesting there. The last one will be, do you think you, in your region, you could adopt the same methodology in building climate resilience? Yeah, we are just saying, when you look at this document, do you think it's something that you can adopt and use in your own region? And if you think that is something that you can adopt, you also have to give reasons why you think that you adopt the same. If you feel that you are not going to use it, you also have to maybe to substantiate with reasons to say why would you not do the same? Thank you. Over to you. I think it's now Zuberi or Oteki taking us to the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Thank you, Tinashe. So we created the forums, as Tinashe explained. There is ERF, the English speaking. There is PROPAG, ROPA, and UMNAGRI, which are French speaking. So please, I will start them in a second. You can join the room you would like to join. Thank you and have fun.
EFF English speech. I can see that Mfundo is alone.
Yes, there was one in the East Africa.
And Fundo is Sakau.
Yeah.
Okay. But I can see
Aristotle, Gamania.
Msaka, but she's in
Colleagues, I think Zuberi and Teki.
Yes,
yes,
Tinashe.
yes, yes.
I'm suggesting that we probably have to just kill that EFF group because there's Mfundo there. He was just trying to find an English speaking group, but he's from Sakao, like Nukupi was said. So I think we can just remain with the three.
Yeah, no problem. So I can push Mfundo to which group? EF can remain that.
Yeah, the challenge is the remaining three will be French speaking. So even if he goes there, I'm not sure if he understands French. Nokupi should guide me on that, but I don't think he does.
Mhm.
No,
So-
he doesn't.
So the option could be one of you can go to East Africa and ask him to join different room, and I can push him anywhere.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, check on him.
Yeah.
Aristotle, can you hear me? So there's a challenge here. The rest they have changed.
Aristote, vous êtes là? Merci Aristote. Vous êtes là? Aristote Gamani. Allô?
جاهز شريك غير متشوش جاهز
Already, can I send you to Ropa to check if there's progress? I think Ropa, they can try to speak English to see if they understand the task.
Hey, sorry, but I think we have a little problem here. We don't have the agenda from translated to French. Do you have it?
No.
I'm trying to
Obedi,
say-
the agenda I shared includes French. Maybe you
Okay.
didn't check, but it also includes French because in South
If-
The
translated it.
questions, they have the
questions.
translation of the questions in the
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah, they're also in French, even the questions.
The question
last-
says
Page
Yeah,
three.
guiding questions for discussion. They are only in English.
on the agenda, wait, just give me a second. I check, but I remember very well that INSAF translated the questions tomorrow, yesterday morning.
Yes, she did, Zuberi.
Wait, let me check. Maybe I am going to reshare the questions.
turi kujya kubasaba miliyoni 5 ureba ko agaranya kandi iyo izazana n'umuntu wano se n'ibyohereza
Ariane, you're still in the plenary. Which group would you like to join? Propa, Kropa, or Unagri? Ariane Bala. Can you hear me?
So I spoke to Mfundo. He was saying you can allocate him to any of the three, but he doesn't understand French. Maybe he can just go there, and so that he is not alone in that EFF group, a breakout room. Zuberi, I wanted you to assist us here by maybe going to the breakout rooms and just check if colleagues are understanding what they need to do there before we run out of time. Because, I mean, we can't go there because even if we go, we won't understand the French. So it's difficult for us to assist them if they have any issues.
yeah. I'm trying. Let me see if I can share the document in the breakout rooms as well.
Okay, thanks.
Tinashe, I think Imelda can assist us with the ROPA.
Yeah, Imelda understands English. I think she should be able to assist. Maybe it's Umunagri, but even Umunagri, I think Raja.
Raja is there. I'm
Yeah,
not
so-
sure about Propak.
Yeah, proper guy ought to know as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you can go to each group and also advise accordingly Raja and Imelda to assist, to moderate.
Yeah, I think that could assist as well.
Je pense que le temps a été trop court. Hein? C'est presque fini.
I take, are we all back in?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much, and welcome back, colleagues, to the main room. So what we are going to do now, sorry, is to allow you to make short presentations of the outcomes of your discussions in the breakout rooms. And how we are going to do it is that we are going to allow the 3 groups to report back and maybe have a small session on the general discussions around everything that will be presented. We are doing this in the interest of time so that we don't stop between the presentation. So I'm not sure who is already keen on making a feedback report from the groups. We have Umnagri, we have Propac, and we have Ropa.
I can start if you want.
Is that Imelda?
Yeah.
Thank you, Imelda. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, let me quickly share my screen. As we work in French, I will present it in French. So for the first, okay, donc, sorry. Pour la première question, alors il nous avait été demandé de savoir si après avoir parcouru la feuille de route, si nous pensons que la méthode était bonne pour atteindre les résultats escomptés. Et on a dit oui, parce que les actions sont définies, les responsabilités aussi. Et chose intéressante, il y a aussi une esquisse de stratégie de mise en œuvre pour chaque action. Donc, nous pensons que c'est une bonne méthode pour pouvoir opérationnaliser aisément ces actions-là. Celui qui prend le document, c'est à peu près là où on va. Maintenant, ce que nous avons proposé de compléter, donc au point 2, en parcourant les colonnes, I can see Obedi is raising his hand, so I don't know if I should stop.
Sorry, we are struggling to hear the interpreter for English on the English side. We are really struggling to hear you.
Okay, he is struggling to hear me, or you are struggling to hear him?
Yeah, we're struggling to hear the interpreter from the English speaking side, yeah.
Okay, so let me know when the problem is fixed.
Yeah, we can hear you, but you were a little bit faint earlier on. Maybe if you can get closer to your mic or something. Yes,
Okay,
we can hear you
okay,
now.
so it was me. Okay, ask him if it's good now, I
Yes.
can continue. I'll try to shout a little bit more. Okay, donc, so I switch in French. Hein? Donc, pour la seconde question, justement, on avait demandé de compléter une colonne sur les échéances parce qu'il y a les actions, les responsables et les stratégies, mais il n'y a pas d'échéance. Or, le fait d'avoir des échéances nous permet d'avoir des objectifs dans un temps bien défini et c'est beaucoup plus facile après pour évaluer la mise en œuvre de la feuille de route. Donc, c'était cette proposition de colonne qu'on vous avait faite. Maintenant, par rapport aux informations fournies dans les 3 colonnes, les ajouts qu'on a proposés, c'est essentiellement en termes d'activité ou de modalité. Premièrement, par rapport à la mobilisation de ressources, vous avez prévu des mobilisations des ressources avec vos partenaires, ce qui est bien. Mais on vous... Can you hear me? Can I continue? Donc, on vous suggérait, je continue en absence de réponse, on vous suggérait de mobiliser aussi les ressources internes et de valoriser tout ce qui existe au niveau de votre réseau pour le renforcement des capacités et le partage d'expériences, un peu comme ce que nous faisons déjà ici, pour davantage de durabilité. On vous a aussi proposé de mettre en place des dispositifs de renforcement de capacité directe des membres. Bon, il faut savoir que c'est beaucoup plus pertinent au niveau national, comme je parlais tout à l'heure de l'expérience du repas. Chez nous, c'est vraiment au niveau des pays que les dispositifs de formation existent et ça permet de former les pays. Ça n'empêche pas que nous, au niveau régional, nous puissions exploiter ces dispositifs-là pour des renforcements à caractère plus régional. On vous avait aussi suggéré de prévoir des mécanismes de diffusion et d'appropriation des recueils de technologies par les membres. On a vu que vous avez prévu des compiles, vous avez prévu des plans d'action par pays, mais il faut, peut-être que vous y avez pensé, mais peut-être il faut le mettre clairement pour pouvoir le budgétiser, pour ne pas aussi l'oublier, prévoir des mécanismes pour diffuser auprès de vos membres et surtout assurer l'appropriation de ces recueils de technologies-là. Parce que nous avons beaucoup d'expérience là-dessus en Afrique de l'Ouest. Il existe une ribambelle de recueils de technologies, pas seulement du repas, hein, mais d'autres organisations. Mais ça reste des documents et on n'a pas pris le temps de renforcer les gens à comprendre le contenu et ça n'a pas eu les résultats escomptés. On vous a aussi demandé de prévoir, d'envisager, mobiliser des ressources pour l'expérimentation des technologies par les membres parce que ce n'est pas toujours facile. Une chose est de renforcer les capacités, une chose est que les gens connaissent les technologies. L'autre chose, c'est vraiment qu'ils puissent les appliquer parce que les gens n'adoptent que quand ils ont appliqué et qu'ils ont vu les résultats. Donc, même si c'est sur des échantillons, ça peut être intéressant de le faire. Et la dernière recommandation, c'est de développer des alliances avec d'autres organisations, que ce soit au niveau de vos membres pays ou au niveau régional, pour beaucoup plus de synergie d'action. Donc, sur la dernière question, nous avons trouvé que la méthodologie est bonne. Elle est un peu similaire à celle que nous développons aussi avec les quelques compléments que nous vous avons faits. Donc, merci beaucoup. C'était ça la synthèse de nos travaux.
Thank you so much, Imelda, and your team from ROPA. We really appreciate that. If we can move on to Umnagri, I see Raja, you are saying something, but I don't understand what you are saying there in French. Umnagri, are you ready to take us through your...
Thank you, Tenashi, for responding to my demand. Because I have to leave you in 10 minutes. This is why I propose to present our recommendation from the breakout room. Bon, je vais présenter les recommandations en français vu que les discussions ont été en français. Bon, pour la première question, notre réponse était oui. Parce que on trouve que la feuille de route elle est exhaustive. Elle contient presque toutes les stratégies, les programmes adoptés par les OPR. Donc, mais il reste quelques points à améliorer afin de permettre à cette feuille de route et cette stratégie d'être applicable dans toutes les régions. Question. La remarque, c'était qu'il manque le groupe trouve qu'il manque vraiment 2 colonnes. Une colonne qui concerne les sources de financement parce que ça aide à exécuter les stratégies. L'autre colonne qu'on vous propose, c'est l'agenda ou le timing. Par exemple, pour savoir si le programme est à mi-parcours ou à long terme ou à mi-terme. Ça, c'est concernant la deuxième question. Pour la troisième question, c'était aussi sur le format de tableau. Donc, sur la colonne de responsabilité, on vous propose d'ajouter les personnes responsables exactement. Par exemple, il ne faut pas mettre, par exemple, OPN ou OPL. On vous suggère d'ajouter la personne responsable, par exemple, un chargé de programme ou quelque chose comme ça. On peut aussi ajouter dans la colonne des responsabilités le secteur public et les gouvernements. Il y a aussi une autre recommandation de notre groupe. Le groupe on vous propose d'intégrer la collaboration avec les instituts de recherche. Ça concerne la question numéro 3. En ce qui concerne la question numéro 4, à un certain niveau, cette méthode, cette feuille de route peut être applicable dans notre région. Mais vu la spécificité de notre région qui est plus proche de l'Europe, il y a d'autres programmes qu'on peut ajouter. Il y a une autre remarque concernant la quatrième question aussi. Le document et la feuille de route ou ce document, l'un des participants, bien sûr, voit que le document est très générique, donc il peut être applicable dans notre région, mais comme j'ai dit, avec une certaine spécificité de la région de l'Afrique du Nord. Ça, ce sont les recommandations et les remarques et les réponses à vos questions de la part du groupe de l'Umnagri. Je vous remercie. Merci.
Merci, Raja. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Raja. Thank you for those contributions. So to just say to colleagues, if you can share your submissions with Zuberi or INSAF, so that they can assist us with translating it to English, because we really need to use this information to feed into, yes.
Yes, I said to Nico Fiwa already that I'm writing on a sheet of paper. I will put them in a document and I will send them by email.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll send mine by the chat, in the chat.
Oh yes, I can see it already. Yeah, but then for us, as long as it's in English, it's Greek, so we'll need Insaf and Zuberi to assist us with translating it to English. But thank you for that anyway. So we move on to ProPac. If we can have a rapporteur from ProPac just taking us through what they discussed in their group.
Oui, bonjour.
Good afternoon.
Vous m'écoutez? Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I
yes, we can hear you, Don Celeste.
I prefer speak French. Excuse me.
No, you can go ahead. We'll hear the translation on the English side, yeah.
Okay, I speak French. Thank you. Ok, nous avons pu travailler. C'est vrai que nous avons eu quelques problèmes techniques sur le réseau et on a pu travailler, on a pu accorder quelques contributions sur des questions qui ont été posées. Et lorsque nous avons regardé la feuille de route, généralement, nous avons vu que tous les points qui ont été émis, c'était des points importants. Et il y a eu des propositions qui ont été faites sur la formulation d'un plan d'affaires, d'un plan d'action, excusez-moi, au niveau régional. Parce que là, vous avez parlé que du niveau national. Est-ce qu'il n'y avait pas une possibilité d'aller plus loin, de réfléchir et de regarder au niveau régional, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire par rapport au plan d'action qu'on peut proposer? Et dans d'autres points, nous avons été tous d'accord. Nous avons constaté que le travail a été tellement bien fait et nous n'avons pas beaucoup des choses à remettre en cause, hein, et nous savons très bien que la roue est déjà là. Merci beaucoup pour notre contribution. Je vous remercie.
Thanks, Don Celeste. I'm assuming that you are done with your presentation, right? Thank you so much. So, colleagues, we really appreciate your contributions to this, but the general sense I'm getting from all the presentations is that it looks like it's a good plan with a few suggested changes that you are putting to us to make those necessary adjustments. And we really appreciate it. That was the reason for us taking you through this roadmap, just check if all is in order. So now we will allow any interventions from the plenary, anyone with any additional information or any other suggestions to make. You can just show by raising of hands if you have any intervention to make. Colleagues, assist me if for some reason, because I don't seem to see any, if there are any hands that you see, please assist me in allowing the participant to talk.
I'm checking also, no hands.
It looks like there isn't. So probably there isn't much there to say. So what we can do now is that since we don't have any further discussions to make there, I will then ask, with your permission, whether to take a small break, a very short break of about, I will suggest that we do 10 minutes instead of 15, to just stretch our legs and maybe go to bathrooms and come back in 10 minutes and finalize. But of course, I will need to hear your suggestion. Raja, you have something to say, you can go ahead. Raja, you can go ahead. Raja, can you hear me? I'm saying we can go ahead and make your intervention. Colleagues, can you hear anything from Raja? It seems like I'm not hearing anything from her.
You're fine.
Yeah, I think she's having network like challenges. I
Okay.
couldn't hear her as well. Raja, est-ce que tu peux répéter s'il vous plaît? Yeah. She has unmuted herself, but it seems it's cutting. So apparently.
Oui, Zoubiri.
Oui, est-ce que vous pouvez.
Est-ce que vous êtes en train de m'entendre?
Oui, maintenant ça va.
D'accord.
Yes, we can hear you.
C'était juste, bon, I will talk in English to Tinashi. I suggest to continue the work and if our colleagues are okay with me, instead of having a break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we too.
So Raja is saying, suggesting that we continue instead of taking a break, we just move on to the next session and yeah, probably finish. Maybe we can take that break right at the end. I think it's okay if all participants are in agreement, we can go ahead.
Yes, please, let's continue.
So yes, so there is no objection from anyone about Raja's suggestion. So we move on. So the next
Just me, Tinashi, maybe I've seen that someone has mentioned in the chat that he's facing challenges for French translation, but
Okay.
I've been trying to change to the French channel and it seems it's working. So apparently this is a network from this side.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
what do you
well,
suggest we do? Zuberi, I'm checking what you suggest we do.
J'ai vu qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est en train de... Translation is okay. Maybe he can disconnect and connect again. That's what I want to inform him. J'ai vu qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est en train de dire qu'il y a le problème avec la traduction en français. Donc, peut-être c'est la connexion de votre côté. S'il vous plaît, si vous pouvez déconnecter et connecter de nouveau, peut-être ça peut fonctionner. Merci beaucoup. Yeah, sorry, Tinashe, to cut you.
No problem. No problem at all. Thank you for that, actually. So now I was saying, since we agreed that we just continue, maybe finish earlier than we planned to do, I will then ask my colleague Obedi. I'm not sure if I'm not putting you on the spot here, but I would maybe just suggest that you summarize, or if you were taking notes from the presentation, just to mention a few things about what the colleagues from the three groups suggested that we add to the roadmap to make it better. Obedi.
Yes, Tinashe, let me try.
Okay.
Yes. Because
Thank
I
you,
was
over to you then.
Thank you. I was having some problem with interpretation, but I think I've captured some. So can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes.
Yes, so this is just general summary of what you have suggested for the roadmap that Sakau has already presented to you. So as I said, this is just reviews that you have you have already went through the document, and so you have your own recommendations, suggestions, and to improve it. So starting with Umnagri, this is their proposal. Of course, I captured some, so sorry if there are some mistakes. So these are some of their proposals that the document is too general, and we should be more specific in terms of activities, responsibilities, etc. And the second recommendations were to specify whether it's a long-term or short-term. As I said, it's too general, so we will specify it. And we should add government and public sector to the document in terms of responsibilities, that where the government are going to intervene so that this action plan is going to be successful. Also, they suggested that we should collaborate with research institutions during implementation and preparation of this action plan, so that everything that is included in the action plan, there is some research based recommendations on it. And the proposal from ROPA, so these are just some of their proposals. The first one was to establish or to strengthen exchange platform between national farm organizations. And the second one was to build a mechanism to disseminate knowledge and experience. So in this action plan, we need to be very specific on how can we disseminate these knowledge and experiences among ourselves as NFOs. And the third one was to be specific on ownership, and they shared their experiences on how the issue of ownership can lead to some problems. So we will, as Sakau, we'll be very specific on ownerships. And the fourth one was to mobilize resources for testing technologies. So as Sakau and their National Farm Organization, they need to develop some strategies on how they can mobilize resources to test those technologies, the climate smart agriculture technologies, etc. The fourth one was alliance with other organizations, that we needed to align with other organizations, like-minded organizations, that they are doing the same work that we are doing, or they they have on their strategic plan of what we are proposing. And the proposal from POPAC is that they just have two recommendation reviews. The first one is that this is good work, what SACAO is doing. And the second one is to develop the action plan at the regional level for what it seems to them that the action plan is at national level. So if we can develop the action plan at the regional level, it will be good. Unfortunately, we didn't have people from EF at least for this meeting, and SACAO, because they were the one who were presenting their action plan. So sometimes it wasn't relevant for them to be here criticizing or revising something that they have developed themselves. So I think we got all the reviews from 3 regional farm organizations, from ROPA, from PROPACI, from UMNAGRI. And for SACAO now, I think their responsibility is to work on reviews on the proposed solutions and the recommendations so that we can have a concrete action plan to make sure we have successful climate resilience in SACAO. So that is all I was able to capture. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Obedi. You always surprise me with how fast you capture these things and make a presentation like that. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So what we have done here is that we have heard all the groups making their recommendations, and we've just heard from Obedi, who made a very good quick summary of all the suggested sort of additions to the roadmap that we presented to you today. So now the work is on us to take these into consideration and put them into the roadmap. And I can gladly tell you that we are going to share the document that will have incorporated your comments and suggestions, so that at least if you want to use it, you can also use it in your region. That was the reason for us actually coming together to discuss this roadmap. So we will definitely share the final version of it through PAFO. So it could be for your information, but also for use if you intend on using it. It's very allowable for you to do that. So having said that, I don't think there will be any closing remarks to make more than what I just said, that the next move is that we are going to work on these recommendations that you just made, and then we'll share the final version of the roadmap through PAFO, so that at least they help us again with translation into French. And just to thank you again for your support and for your contributions. So what we intended to do was to, of course, we knew that we were supposed to, our focus was mainly on learning how to moderate sessions and all that, but we thought that since our topic, the topic that we allocated during our training in Kigali was more on a very topical subject matter, we thought that we could actually use this opportunity to learn how to moderate, but also to deal with the climate change challenges that we are facing in all our regions. And I think you agree with me that we actually achieved that. From where we started, as Nokupi presented to you, we started with identifying the climate change challenges that we have in our regions. But we did not stop there. We also said, for every climate risk that you identify in your region, propose a solution, so that at least we don't just talk about problems. We need to be providing solutions to those problems. And then we took it a little bit further and now went to the elephant in the room, which is always the issue to do with finance. To say, okay, we can propose these solutions and all that, but how do we make it happen in terms of implementing or making sure that the solutions that we propose are actually actioned? So we discussed climate finance, and a lot of ideas came out of that, which we are actually looking at in terms of how we can take them forward. So this last session now was a proposal to you to say, this is what we are trying to do in Southern Africa in terms of building resilient farming systems. How do you see it? And I've already thanked you again for your contributions, which make a lot of sense. And I've already said we are going to share the final version of it after making a few adjustments as you proposed. So that's all I will say to you, and just thanking you again for your participation since we started with this. And we look forward to be interacting more. Feel free to contact us for some reason. If you think about something else that we can add to this, we are always available. It's either on WhatsApp or on email. I will stop there and check from my colleagues Obedi and Nokupiwa if they have something to say before I hand over to Teki and Zuberi. I already see that the evaluation has already been flighted here. So I don't know, Obedi and Nokupiwa, if you have something to say before I hand over to Zuberi or Teki.
I think you have already summarized all, Tinashe. Thank you so much for all the participants. We have been collaborating since the first session up to today. Hopefully what we have discussed here, we are going to implement in our work to help smallholder farmers who are struggling with these issues of climate change. So thank you very much. Let's go and do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Obedi. So I don't seem to see, I mean, Ogupiwa probably she doesn't have anything to say. So I will hand over to you, Teki and Zuberi to...
No, I also want to say
sorry.
thank you, Tinashe.
No, thanks,
Sorry,
Nokupiwa.
I would like, yeah, I would also like to say thank you for the participants for the support that you have given us in these topics. Like we said, climate change is very broad, but we see some light and we can see some actions that we're going to take forward as SACAO and as PAFO. So thank you so much for your contributions on our platform. And we look forward to the other sessions and the other topics that you guys have chosen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nokupiwa. Now I can gladly hand over to Teki and Zuberi. Thank you.
Thank you, Tinashe. From our side, the survey is going on since 5 minutes, and 12 persons has already replied. So from our side, it's going on. You can please try to participate. Thank you. So up to you, Sakao, to close the meeting.
Thanks so much, Teki. And again to you, the technical team, thank you for your support again. I think you have been with us from the first session up to now, and we really appreciate your support and your coordination. And in some cases, you would actually nudge us if we are not moving fast enough. So we really appreciate your technical support as well. So I don't know how much time you will give participants to finalize the evaluation, Zuberi and Teki, but for us, I think we are done. I don't have anything more to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tinashe. Maybe if before we leave, if we could take a group photo, please. Yeah,
Okay.
so s'il vous plaît, vous pouvez mettre vos caméras pour un photo. Group photo. Vous pouvez mettre vos caméras. You can put on your camera so that you can photo.
Et ceux qui ne sont pas au bureau.
Your camera is off.
Ils sont en circulation, ils vont faire comment?
Lila, Karim, Raphaël, Oumou, Safwan, Gilles, Dieudonné, Adrien, s'il vous plaît.
Just want us to smile when you are taking the picture, please.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Sefe, thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful day and thank you so much for your good presentation from Sakau side, which was very wonderful, and especially thank you so much, Obedi, because we know it's been very. We all.
Looks like Zuberi is now frozen there.
Yeah, but I think we are done. Thank you so much, Tim. Till we meet in the next on our 7th session.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Nice
bye.
afternoon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to you all.
Bye bye.
Merci beaucoup.